So, the bike's coming together. Got the tank on. Yeah! Dog's yawning. You alright there, dog? Yeah! So, the bike's coming together. We've got the tank on and starting to put the covers on. Now, one of the main issues you get when you take a fairing off a faired bike is the fact you've got loads of things sticking out. You've got things like radiators, sensors, and if you go around to where the headlight is, you can see these wires. And I've put the cover, which I've made myself, back on the top here. Underneath here, there's fuse boxes, wires, and a maze of pipes for this fuel ignition system. Now, if you leave it out in the open, it looks terrible, it looks untidy, and also it's not good for it, fuse boxes and things like that, being exposed to all the weather, so you want to keep it under cover. So what you're going to do, you've got to make covers. There's several ways of going about this, and the one I use is sheet aluminium, sheet metal work. So, for example, here on the radiator, there's this cover that goes over. I've taken it off at the moment because I was finding there's a couple of clearance issues. When the bike goes to full steering lock on the left, it was just catching this panel here. So I've been chewing out bits of the fairing and tidying it up. So it's, when you go from left lock to right lock, there's nothing. You can go to full lock with no problem, which is very handy on a bike. So how do we make these panels? Well, these are made out of sheet aluminium, which is welded together. And of course you can see there's double curvatures. You can see on the headlight one there's double curvatures. Now getting those in there, you could put just flat panels on, but you know, they just look flat. So to give the bike some shape, and it just looks better when you've got double curvatures. So I'll give you a brief rundown how this is done. So we'll go over to the workbench over here. There's a 750, doing okay, passed her MOT, doing nice, doing nice. So you start off with a flat piece of metal like this. So this shows you there's the basic shape of a side panel. You can see if you put that on the side of a bike, it's not good, even if you polished it up, it's not gonna look that good. So to put some shape in it, like this one here, and this one for the headlight, to put some shape in, to make it flow, and to cover up all the electrics and protect it from the worst of the weather, you've got to work on it. Now what do you do to get all these double curvatures? What I use is a homemade English wheel, which is two bearing surfaces which are slightly domed. You have to do that yourself with a grinder on a lathe, or by hand you could do it with a grinder, which puts pressure on the metal as it goes back and two. You put pressure on the metal, that then makes it flow into all these nice curves. And then for the serious curves you use dollies and hammers. So what I find the best thing to do is get a dolly that's roughly the right shape you want to do, work on it with hammers, and you have to anneal the metal, which involves heating it up just the right temperature and then quenching it, makes it soft, back to the hammers till you get roughly the right shape, and then just tidy up, get the curves nice and neat on the English wheel. Now there's some welding involved because there's several sides to this. See there, I'm not a brilliant welder, I'm an amateur welder, but using a MIG welder with an aluminium rod, and I think it was argon gas, I managed to do pretty well. I would actually like to make a fuel tank one day. So if I get a bike, hopefully, that needs a lot of work on it, I might just strip the whole thing down, and I'd like to make it all with aluminium mud guards, petrol tank, everything. So anyway, you can see there, it's it's solid. That is, it's solid, but it doesn't look very nice. So then the polishing starts. So you start off with 500 wet and dry, then you go out up to 1,000 wet and dry, and then a bit higher, 1,200 wet and dry, and then you start with your polishing compound. Now this has been in the weather, I've been standing, so it just needs some Solver water solve, which I've got here, and a good cloth So a couple of hours now polishing these panels. Yeah, go back to the bike here. I'll show you, that's where it fits on. And we're getting nice clearance now. Yeah. Of course, if you want it to go on, it doesn't go on. Anyway, yeah. Another thing I noticed was it was just catching on this tube here for the radiator, so I've just put a curve out there to make for better clearance. So that's basically how that goes on. And yeah, she's coming along. Brakes are good. I haven't tested them, I haven't taken them for a test ride yet, but statically they're releasing and biting and releasing. Still got quite a bit to do, but we're getting there, we're getting there. Right, well there we go. Yep. Oh, and I've got a new battery as well. That's always good. Yeah, get a new battery, yeah. Well, yeah, bye for now.